שמש דקה ומרפא בכנפיה.
In the days of the judging of the judges, I do want to translate that literally to you, because in most of your translations it might be written then when the judges judged, but the Hebrew says it more broadly. We can understand it in two ways: when the judges judged or when the judges were judged. So in the days of the judging of the judges, there was a famine in the land. I like to take you into the original Hebrew where it says Vayehi beimei. In the days, we translate it, and the rabbis discovered that this expression only appears 4 times in the Tanakh, what we call the Old Testament. And always it points towards a time of need, distress, affliction, trouble. This land, the land of Israel, from a biblical point of view, is known for its character in contrast to Egypt or to Mesopotamia, to Babylon, for its insecure livelihood. You know, in Egypt or in Mesopotamia, you have the huge rivers, the streams, and if you are in agriculture, you can just go to the river, pick up the water and bring it on a field. Here in the land of Israel, you are dependent on rain. And it's the Lord who gives rain. And actually, I'd like to dig there into the Bible, but I could show you that rain always is also connected to prayer. That's why the Jewish tradition prays for rain every year. They know it. So the condition of this land, because it's dependent on rain, and because God is the one who gives rain, and because rain is connected to the prayer of the people in the land, the condition of the land always testifies something about the relationship between the people in this land and the one true living God. The land always says something about the spiritual state of the people who live in the land. In a way, the spiritual state of the people in the land becomes visible by how the land looks. Now, if we hear that there was a famine here in this area, then in this case it cannot be due to the lack of rain. Because later we hear about Elimelech and his family, and they flee to Jordan, they flee to Moab. And rain comes from the west, and if it was worthwhile to flee to Moab, then if there was rain, then here was rain. So it wasn't the rain actually that caused the famine or the lack of rain, but it must have been another situation. And I think it very much points to the situation that is described in the 6th chapter of the Book of Judges, and I'd like to read that to you. It says there, the people of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord gave them into the hand of Midian 7 years. And the hand of Midian overpowered Israel. And because of Midian, the people of Israel made for themselves the dens that are in the mountains and the caves and the strongholds. And whenever the Israelites planted crops, the Midianites and the Amalekites and the people of the east came up against them. They would encamp against them and devour the produce of the land as far as Gaza, and leave no sustenance in Israel, and no sheep or ox or donkey. For they would come up with their livestock and their tents. They would come like locusts in number. Both they and their camels could not be counted. So they laid waste the land as they came in. And Israel was brought very low because of Midian, and the people of Israel cried out for help to the Lord. The rabbis say that in every generation where there is no Torah found, a famine is found. So the famine says something about the spiritual state of the people here in the land. And in conclusion, I would alert you of something geographical we can see in connecting the Book of Judges and the scroll of Ruth. In the Book of Judges, you have a geographical movement. In the beginning, actually, it is said that Judah should take up the lead. And we see in the Book of Judges that Judah did not heed to it. The Judeans didn't want to take up the lead. In the beginning, one of the first judges was Othniel. He was from Judea. The second one was Ehud from Benjamin, which is here in the area, a little bit north of Judea. And then came Deborah from Ephraim, which is even further north. And then Gideon from western Manasseh, which is also north of Benjamin. And then the next judge is Yiftach, which is even on the other side of the Jordan, in Gilead. And then comes Samson, or Shimshon in Hebrew, from Dan, which is even much more north. Now, Ibn Ezra, a middle-aged rabbi from Spain, Avraham Ibn Ezra, he is convinced that God was judging the judges because of their behavior, because of the deterioration in their time. And he says the famine was in the land because God was judging the judges. And the Book of Ruth afterwards, I just want to alert you of that, reverses geographically also this movement. It basically starts in Moab, on the east bank in Jordan, and Naomi and Ruth move back into Judea. And then the second chapter of the Book of Ruth takes place in the Judean hills. The chapter 3 is on the threshing ground of Boaz, right in front of Bethlehem, or not far away from Bethlehem. And the fourth chapter actually is in the gate of Bethlehem, that means in the entrance of the city. So we see there the absolute reverse geographical movement in the Book of Ruth as it was in the Book of Judges.